Regulation of religious institutions is back in the spotlight with growing concerns over the abuse of faith and the commercialization of spiritual practices. The CRL Rights Commission is calling for stronger government intervention and has announced the formation of a peer review committee to help enforce legislation in the sector. The move has reignited the debate around the balance between religious freedom and protecting vulnerable communities. The CRL Commission's chairperson, Thoko Mkhwanazi-Xaluva, joins us now to unpack the Commission's latest efforts. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for making time for us this morning. How different will this particular committee be compared to the work that has already been done by the CRL Commission in relation, for instance, to that 2017 probe that has found wide-ranging abuses within the religious sector?
The difference this time is that we are saying the peers, the leaders in the Christian faith, must come together and say to the nation, this is how we think this problem will be solved. We know the problem cannot be solved without some legal framework. They're the ones who must tell us how, where, what, and who must do what. So we have established what we call a Section 22 committee, because it's our Section 22, the CRL Act, that empowers us to do this. So we're saying the religious sector, the Christians themselves, must sort out this problem and tell the nation how, as leaders in the Christian faith, they think this should be sorted out.
Yeah. But with that said as well, because you have this debate around faith and people speak about a calling, who decides whether one is a legitimate religious leader and is actually worthy of giving a contribution to the Section 22 committee and has credibility to do so?
You see, the Section 22 committee is not the one that's going to be doing much. That's why we're saying they should be done with the work within 1 year. They are going to say to us, we need legislation of this kind and that kind. We need this of this kind and that kind. But they're basic principles. For instance, if you're going to be a pastor, bishop, or whatever you choose to call yourself, firstly, your church has to be registered. Secondly, you should be registered and vetted, because you'll be working with children. Religious leaders work with children because you have a children's ministry, and we need to know that they do not appear on any register that registers offenders. But if you don't know who's doing what where, how are you going to do that? So we need a system where there can be a register of religious leaders who we know, so-and-so is here, these are his qualifications, this is where he comes from, this is his spiritual leader, so that when people have a problem, they then know where to go to. Right now, if a journalist does something, we know where to go to. If a doctor does something, health professional councils is there, lawyers, nurses, teachers, every profession in this country is regulated as per Section 22 of the Constitution. This is the only profession where you can just think, oh, I've got enough money, I can buy a tent and chairs and a sound system, I'm starting a church, I saw an empty space there, I'm now a pastor, or even a bishop or archbishop or cardinal or whatever. It can't work like that.
Yeah. Is the intention behind setting up the Section 22 committee to say that for any institution or any congregation to come out and say that they are a church, there would be minimum standards that would need to be met, including registration?
Oh, definitely. There should be minimum standards. And there must be, behavior that is expected from the leadership. We can't just say you can just start up without us knowing where you've been. Maybe for the last 5 years, you were serving a sentence for pedophilia. We need to know all these things. We need to know where you are. We need to know where is your church. And we're saying municipalities need to be involved in this thing, because wall to wall, people have municipalities in this country. So we are saying we need to protect the congregants. When you go to church, all your systems collapse because it's a safe space as far as you know. We've seen what happens in churches. We listened to the Omotoso case. We all know well how that went, but we remain saying churches must remain safe spaces for the worshippers.
Yeah. Let me ask you, Chair, since that the 2017 report came out looking into the work that has been done by the CRL and also some of the abuses that have been picked up, and also this issue that some of these churches are not registered with the Department of Social Development, have there been any changes that you have noted at all around the setting up of these churches, and also so-called monitoring around what's happening within the sector at all?
There haven't been many changes. Actually, there have been changes. It got worse because religious leaders resisted this last time vehemently with death threats, with all sorts of other things. But the reality is, because it's getting worse, we're back now saying, this needs to work. And we're saying we need timelines, tight timelines. We need to protect people. Their human dignity is sacrosanct. It's a constitutional imperative. Don't make people eat grass. Don't humiliate people anyhow you want. It can't be business as usual anymore.
Yeah. What is it about the Christian faith and the principles within the Christian faith, perhaps maybe, that makes it so easy for somebody to set up a church in the country, and that person even going as far as violating the belief systems of their congregants? Compare that, for instance, to Islam. What is it about the Christian faith?
What we discovered during our investigation at the time, we looked at all religions in the country. The first thing is that the majority of people, about 85% of people in the country, are Christians. But that in other religions, they've got systems. You see, I can't decide today that I want to be a rabbi and just I'm now a rabbi. It doesn't work like that in other religions. This is the only religion where we must say as a nation, but also as government, that this thing has been allowed to go on for too long. When freedom came, people became free to do anything and everything anyway. Others thought, oh, I'm going to start up this career or profession and become a pastor. Very good and well. But we lost control of the system at some point. We're saying now we need to get back control. Nothing happens in this country ever where you have access to communities, where you have access to people, and it's not controlled. This is the only thing where you can do whatever you like, however you like, even commit crimes using the Bible. That's why you are saying we lost control as a nation. It must stop now.
We lost control as a nation and it must stop now. How exactly do you stop that? Thank you so much for making time for us. That is Thoko Mkhwanazi-Xaluva, who is the chairperson of the CRL